my pleasure to welcome everyone tonight. I'm Kim Hudson, Vice President of the Wicomico County Board of Education. On behalf of my fellow board members, I'd like to welcome you to our beautiful Bennett Middle School and to our annual legislative dinner. We are so pleased you are here with us tonight. Please allow me to introduce my colleagues on the board, Dr. Carolyn Elmore, Mr. Joe Ollinger, Mr. John Palmer, past President Mr. Ron Willey. Not with us tonight is Dr. Tyrone Chase, and our current board president, Mr. Don Fitzgerald, sends his regards. He is sorry he cannot be here, but he is celebrating with his family as his daughter receives her doctorate degree in nursing tonight. Yes. Education is always a hot topic. As all board members can attest, there is never a dull moment. From discipline to instruction to budgets to policy, our time is spent on a myriad of issues. But whether we are discussing the budget or debating the merits of an elected versus appointed school board, or engaged in a new superintendent search, one thing remains constant: our students. I know many of our legislators were in attendance Saturday morning at Wicomico County's legislative breakfast. And during that time, some rather disparaging remarks were made about the Wicomico County Board of Education. Remarks that were printed in our local paper and shared via social media. Forgive me, but I would be remiss if I did not address those comments here tonight to some of the very people those comments were delivered to. While I speak for myself, I am certain many of my fellow board members share my thoughts. Much of what was said on Saturday is simply not true, and I would ask that each of you here tonight to please ask questions of us, to clarify comments, and to get the facts. And I assure you, as any school board member knows, we are very much aware of our tough fiscal times. The reason we are all here tonight is in the spirit of collaboration. One of the major objectives we all undertake each year is to make sure lines of communication and understanding are wide open. Many steps are taken to ensure that happens. We are all here tonight in that spirit, to take the time to listen to one another, to talk openly, and to let our legislators know how much we do take our jobs seriously. One thing I know for certain, it is never about us. It is always about the kids. I hope that our legislators hear me when I say that despite of criticisms made of the Wicomico County Board of Education, we will continue our efforts at establishing better working relationships. We will not point fingers or blame. That does no one any good, and it certainly does not benefit those we serve most, the students. So as we, all of us, work to ensure that our students receive the best education possible, we must remember that education is empowering. In my opinion, our public school systems should be the most valuable asset of our community, and it is our jobs to make certain they are. As the 436th session of the General Assembly of Maryland begins, and as our teachers and educators throughout all of our counties continue to push and encourage and teach, I challenge all of us to not be afraid to take a stand and make the hard decisions, ones that will benefit our students, our future, and ones that will continue to make our schools the most valuable asset in our communities. So we welcome everyone tonight. I welcome our legislators. We will introduce you a little bit later in the program. Welcome to our county commissioners across the Lower Eastern Shore. Thank you so much for being here. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you our first soloist this evening. Please help me welcome Brooke Benish. Brooke is an 11th grader at Parkside High School and a student of the Visual Performing Arts program. Brooke is accompanied by her teacher, Dr. Jeff Baer.
Hello. Tonight I'm going to be singing Far From the Home I Love from the musical Fiddler on the Roof and My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music. How can I hope to make you understand why I do what I do? Why I must travel to a distant land, far from the home I love. Once I was happily content to be as I was, where I was, close to the people who are close to me, here in the home I love. Who could see that a man would come who would change the shape of my dreams? Helpless now I stand with him, watching older dreams grow dim. Oh, what a melancholy choice this is, wanting home, wanting him, closing my heart to every hope but his, leaving the home I love. There where my heart has settled long ago, I must go, I must go. Who could imagine I'd be wandering so far from the home I love? Yet there with my love I'm home. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with us tonight.
It's my honor and pleasure to introduce you to Matt Masiello. He's our state's attorney for Wicomico County. He's a graduate of Warwick Community College and Salisbury University, also the University of Maryland School of Law, there with honors. And he is a member of the Maryland as well as the Delaware Bar. One of the special things about Matt is he's a hands-on kind of guy. I know he knows his law. He's worked with us in projects, but I also know there have been some times at volunteer events where I was helping slog tables and chairs, and guess what? Matt was right there with me.
Well, thank you, John, for that kind introduction, and it's my honor and privilege to speak to you this evening. Before I was state's attorney, a lot of people don't know this, when I was attending Warwick Community College and Salisbury University, I was on the Ocean City Beach Patrol, and it was an experience that I greatly loved. Other individuals in our community that were on the beach patrol, Chief Barbara Duncan, our police chief, Chip DeShiel, who was my former partner at Hearn & Bailey, and my friend, the late Henry Vineyard. And I want to tell you a story about something profound and unusual that happened one day that I was working on the beach. I was on quad duty around the 30th Street area, and I saw an incredible scene. As I sat on my quad, I was looking down the beach, and I saw the 32nd Street beach clear, everybody just run right out of the water. Then I saw 33rd Street, same thing, 34th Street, and I drove down to get a closer look, and I found myself standing next to this rather rotund beach patron, and we both saw what the problem was. There was a boat offshore, and it had come close to a pod of dolphins, and it had mortally wounded one of them. And that dolphin was in the shallows, and it was in complete flight mode. It almost looked to me like a torpedo from a submarine just darting through the water. And at that moment, as me and this beach patron were watching the scene, this guy grabbed onto my T-shirt, and he looked me in the eyes, and he yelled at me, and he said, "Lifeguard, do something." And ladies and gentlemen, what we're looking at here was a 750-pound, out-of-control marine mammal. And it was definitely a problem, even though I wanted to help, it was a problem that was beyond my physical control and my capacity to assist. But I understood this guy. I was standing next to him. I knew what he was feeling, because I felt it too. We were watching this animal suffer, and we were watching others who were potentially at risk running from the water. But again, the problem was a 750-pound problem. It was beyond my ability to solve this alone. So fast forward to my job as state's attorney. I think we take a lot from the jobs that we have in life. And I took a lot of what I learned on the beach patrol into the office with me. And my job as state's attorney, of course, is essentially to protect the innocent and to convict the guilty. And I do my very best each and every day to ensure that we're keeping people safe and that we're preserving the Eastern Shore quality of life, which I truly believe is our right and our heritage. And when a criminal commits a burglary or robbery or smashes a car window, when an innocent child is shot at a hotel dance party, or a person starts a fight or robs somebody at a mall, these things always spark community debate and discussion, especially in social media like Facebook or Twitter. Maybe some of you have participated. But people start saying things are bad here, things are bad there, and things are bad everywhere. Another topic in social media is, of course, the economy. How many people are on unemployment? How many people are on public assistance? And at election time, topics include how few people care to vote. People complain that people today seem to not care about their neighbors, that people have a lack of empathy and an understanding that we're an interdependent people, that community members together, that we have shared responsibilities. For the last 5 years I've prosecuted, and it's a heavy responsibility. And I've had opportunities to observe and reflect, and I can tell you that the police can respond and solve some of the crime, and myself and my team, we can prosecute the cases, we can convict the guilty, But if we go beyond what is really a reaction and we begin to look at the root factors that contribute to crime and antisocial behavior, it's clear that our literacy rate and our literacy problem is a major contributor to our local, state, and national crime and economic quality of life issues here on the shore. Barbara Bush, in my opinion, was a great First Lady. She put forth tremendous effort in improving the rate of literacy in our country, and she remarked, "It suddenly occurred to me everything that I was worrying about, the breakup of families, drugs, AIDS, the homeless, everything would be better if more people could read, could write, and could understand." Again, I've observed that a lot of people literally and metaphorically are yelling at office holders. We want lower crime. We want a better economy. We want people to be less dependent on the taxpayers. We want a healthcare system that's not so overburdened. Just go on Facebook tonight, scroll down 30 posts, and you will find people ranting about these issues. But what's at the root of these concerns? Not the only factor, but what does seem to be a common denominator, and that is education and that is literacy. Depending on where you go for your information, approximately 32 to 36 million Americans cannot read. That's 14% of our United States population. 21%, so almost a quarter of our citizenry, cannot read above a 5th grade reading level. And for the connection between crime and literacy, here's a statistic for you to ponder. In our U.S. prisons, 70% of those incarcerated in U.S. prisons cannot read above a 4th grade reading level. I've been telling our stakeholders that my biggest fear related to our criminal justice system and the health of our community, even greater than the opioid epidemic that is receiving much deserved attention, my greatest fear is related to our failures in the rehabilitation of juvenile offenders. A lot of crime in this community, car break-ins, serious assaults, robberies, murders, are committed by juvenile offenders or very young adults. Nationally, juveniles that have had contact with the criminal justice system, approximately 85% are functionally illiterate. Some states, ladies and gentlemen, determine how many prison beds they're going to need for their jobs based upon how well current elementary students are doing on their reading tests. So when you consider all of this, it certainly demonstrates that our education systems are a major force in combating societal problems in our country. The populations that I interact with and I'm concerned about, the prison populations and the juvenile offenders, the individuals that are behind the statistics, because again, we all must remember the numbers, those numbers are actual people, they're actual children. They have not derived any of the benefits that the literate derive from reading. Some of the benefits that I could think about include the ability to think critically and analyze, the ability to empathize with others, and we wonder why people don't care. It is proven that readers are more empathetic. The ability to understand abstract concepts comes from reading and literacy, such as respect for private property rights, respect for ethics, values, and even religion. We take for granted our ability to read and the power and control that that gives us. It connects us with a life beyond our own. Reading allows us to travel beyond our physical confinements, to move both backwards and forwards in time. We can observe others solve problems. We can see people suffer from making bad decisions and profit from making good ones. We can learn about good and evil, the wicked and the just, and the virtues of good men and women. Readers are more likely to vote. They're more likely to exercise. They're more likely to appreciate culture, and they are more likely to be tolerant. The Department of Justice, through study and data mining, has established that delinquency and violent crime are welded to reading failure. And as state's attorney, I can tell you, after case after case that I see on my desk, a common denominator and some of the really bad cases that I have is almost certainly poor academic performance. Upset about the economic conditions in Wicomico County and Salisbury, in our state and in our nation? Well, it's a fact that illiteracy costs our society approximately $240 billion each year in lost industrial productivity, unrealized tax revenues. Just think, and this is a thought that I had, just think about all the products the literate purchase. Welfare, crime, poverty, all these other things that are attendant, drug abuse and related social ills, that's all connected. And the saddest casualty of all, my final thought, are the children, especially the ones that are affected by intergenerational illiteracy, which I know we have in Wicomico County because I see it. It's easy to see how intergenerational illiteracy is a problem. Children who are affected begin their school life well behind their peers because their parents, their grandparents, and even their great-grandparents had minimal or no reading skills. So they have no appreciation for those things that the educated and the literate can appreciate. These children would have no hope if it were not for our teachers and for the school system. The individuals associated with our schools are the only ones, in my opinion, who are going to break this vicious intergenerational curse that innocent children should not have to experience. So we want others to do something about crime. We want them to do something about the economy. We want them to do about those chronically on welfare, on unemployment. And people in the community are screaming to our stakeholders, do something. This epidemic of illiteracy in America is a big problem. It's bigger than that 750-pound dolphin-sized problem that I had when I was a lifeguard. And the police chief, Barbara Duncan, and Sheriff Lewis, the judges in the criminal justice system, essentially all the king's horses and all the king's men, they cannot tackle this problem alone. They cannot arrest their way out of this problem. So I ask you, stakeholders in this room, I thank you for coming tonight, and I ask you to please do your part. Do what makes more sense than more police and more prisons. Schools really seem to be our great hope, especially when we understand the intergenerational issues that can be best addressed by the school system. Margaret Fuller was a pre-Civil War era women's rights advocate, and she was an early advocate for the emancipation of the slaves. And she said, if you have knowledge, let others light their candle in it. So to those of you who are in education, and those of you who support education, I say to you, thank you. Thank you for illuminating, thank you for enlightening, and for enhancing the quality of life of others around you. And I thank you for passing on what you know and for making this community that much safer, that much healthier, and of course, that much brighter. God bless you, and thank you for letting me make some comments tonight.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for sharing those words tonight. I think those of us sitting as board members can definitely attest to the need for more reading specialists, for more reading teachers, more reading programs, and that is exactly one of the reasons why we're continually asking for those types of things. Thank you for sharing that tonight. Please help me now to introduce our next soloist, Miss Jasmine Deal. Jasmine is a senior at James M. Bennett High School. She is accompanied tonight by her father, Mr. Aaron Deal, who is a pupil personnel worker for Wicomico County Board of Ed.
I'm going to be singing The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess. So I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love is happening to me. I found the greatest love inside of me. The greatest love is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And if by chance that special place that you've been dreaming of leads you to a lonely place, find your strength in
We're so appreciative of the talents of our students that you've seen displayed, and I think that young lady needs another hand. I have just a few, 5 or 6 pages to read tonight, but I guess being an old English teacher, I won't do that tonight. I'll just call on some very special friends, our state legislators, whom we are very pleased to have with us tonight. We do ask you to do a lot for us. I think you've heard from Matt one of the reasons why we really, really need funds to help improve our reading programs. Children who are loved come to school to learn. Children who are not come to school for love.
Look around the room. We all have one thing in common. You know what it is? Our children and their future. And that's really what it's all about. And Matt, I thank you for your dedication to making the world a better place, whether on the beach or in the courtroom. And as that gentleman said to you, lifeguard, do something. Children guards, future guards, you are doing something. And we appreciate all that you're doing. Take a look at this building and what we've done. So, very simply, we do appreciate the agenda that you have for us. And we will do our very best, as they say, do no harm. But we will make absolutely certain that we make a positive difference as we go forward. I heard some of the statistics that Matt said. Regardless of your county, if it's $12,000 to educate a student, I understand it's about $25,000 to incarcerate a student. We know where we would better appropriate those dollars. Jasmine, to you and your dad, and although Brooke is left and her mom, you know that song by Johnny Nash, it says, I can see clearly now. When you all come up here and look, I can see and you can see the future now, tonight. We can see it very clearly now right in front of us. And we are the ones that are shaping it, making it better for our children and their future. God bless, Merry Christmas, and Happy Healthy New Year.
I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Dr. Andes, I appreciate you doing the work with the Eastern Shore Consortium of giving us concise information and facts that we can use as a resource. And we look forward to the superintendents joining us during the session and making the presentation, as we always have them do, and keep us informed of the things that are moving along and importance to you. I know we have some real issues with testing and implementation of new curriculums and things that are meeting a strong challenge, and I know given the additional challenges to your students and to the teachers and professionals that you employ.
I want to make 3 quick points. I first want to just start with a heartfelt thank you, because if you look around this room, we've had the students and we've had the teachers and we have school board members and superintendents and legislators and county commissioners, and that to me is really exciting. And my heartfelt thanks leads to my next point, which is the importance of our partnerships. We do have some tough issues, and we do need to hit them head on, but when I look at around the room, and I know that all of us are coming about it with the same vision and goal, which is the students and our future. So when we sit down and we start working through these partnerships, we can do that. And I'm very, very upbeat and uplifted about it. And I want to make my third point to bring the point about partnerships home. And my third point is about student excitement. And a couple of you have already heard my story tonight, but I was just really excited to have the opportunity to work on a partnership in the Worcester County school system. I had been approached by some construction industry employers who were talking about the employment shortage now and in the future. And the challenges they have that the construction industry, some folks just think about it as hammers and nails, not thinking about it as a high-tech industry where 3D scanners are used and iPads are used for drawings and drones are used. And where it's very exciting, they wanted to tell their story and they wanted to get into the schools and tell the story. And I approached our home, Worcester County, Dr. Wilson, and the principal at Worcester Technical High School, and just to see if we could get something going. And our first little pilot project was with the 8th grade students from Snow Hill. We thought that would be just a great way to start. And if you saw the reaction of these 8th grade students when we were showing them the video, and they saw the drones and they saw the 3D scanners, but the real kicker was when we passed out the chart that showed the salaries, starting salaries between $30,000 and $60,000 with minimal experience. And then when they would make the commitment and do more training and apprenticeship and learn that high-tech equipment, took them up to that next level, $60,000 to $95,000. You know, and their eyes opened up. And then we even talked about the business aspects, that, you know, you teach the high-tech and then you do the business part. My point being is it was really exciting to watch the students look at putting it together, the high-tech, the salaries, and knowing that these are jobs that are going to be on the shore in the future. So it's just one example about partnerships. So I encourage all of us, as we hit the tough issues that come along on our legislative sheet and work through those, that as we work through those, we continue to think of other opportunities where we can build on these partnerships and absolutely ensure that our young people, should they decide to stay here on the shore, will have the economic opportunities to do so. Thank you very much.
Certainly always a pleasure to be amongst friends and family. Just like to say for the young people, thank you for keeping it in perspective. Because it's so often that we are down into our legislative duties and policy-making decisions that we sometimes just kind of lose our way. So when hearing your voice tonight, as well as Brooke, who was here earlier, it just keeps things for us, for me, I should say, in perspective, to know it is about the young people and that we must keep on this journey because we have to make sure the future is better and brighter. Not too long ago, and thank you, Dr. Elmore, for recognizing us on the county council, but I recall when this community was experiencing angst, arguments, frustration, and all those things over the erection of this building. And here we are tonight. We're able to appreciate it. We're able to be a part of this awesome auditorium. And so we have come a long ways, and I know that has happened in neighboring counties as well. But I just cannot, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that, because it took a lot of sweat, heartache, and a lot of frustrating meetings that occurred in this community, but we made it happen. I'm pleased to see that the West Salisbury project is moving through the capital project list. It's needed, and I'm going to continue to fight that fight, not just because I attended that school many years ago, but just because I know that that's what it's going to take for our future to continue to be a little bit brighter. Wanted to acknowledge, and Dr. Ferguson, thank you for bringing it up about the helicopters. I have been working on that issue, and my chairman on health and government operations, he has acknowledged that we may be able to make some changes through regulation and not through legislation. But whatever the case may be, please know that issue with the air helicopter trying to make sure persons are transported from the eastern shore to the western shore without getting a bill of $40,000 is on the radar screen, and I'm certainly working to that end. But we'll keep you posted. Also, it's always been for me the basis that education is the foundation to our community. A reporter asked probably a couple weeks ago, what is the one thing, the magic bullet you would say to make sure economic development occurs? I said education. That's it, period. Certainly because that is the thread. It makes things happen. It makes our community continue to be the economic engine that it truly is on the Eastern Shore. So you have my continued support on all of those fronts. I've been a supporter of public education and will continue to do that. But it takes each and every one of us. I look forward to seeing everybody in Annapolis at our Friday meetings, and be forthcoming and share what it is that we need to work on and how we can move through our channels there in the General Assembly. So I'm at your disposal, willing and ready to know a little bit more each and every day. But thank you again. Thank you for allowing me to serve, because it's not for everybody's support. It just makes it very difficult. But I do thank you for this evening, and God bless each and every one of you.
Here is to a productive, effective, and collaborative new year. Thank you.